What trend died so fast that you can hardly call it a trend? That moment when Google really tried to make Google Plus happen. All Google Plus did was show me that my dad comments on videos of Brazilian chicks shaking their ass. I remember Pornhub had a share this video on Google Plus button. Bitch, why would I want my friends, family, and coworkers to know I use Google Plus? I mean, it's pretty appropriate that as a trend flash mobs came out of nowhere and then immediately disappeared. Not gonna lie, I kinda liked the flash mob thing. I mean, some were dumb, but I thought the whole idea was pretty fun overall. I participated in one in like 2011. It wasn't anything wild, just a marketing stunt for a Seattle tour company. A couple hundred people got pink umbrellas in the alley behind Pike Place Market, assigned an area around the market to go to, and then everyone opened up their pink umbrellas at the same time and walked around with them for like 5 minutes. Silly bands. I worked retail at the time, and after they sold out, by the time we got stock in to replace them, no one wanted them anymore and they all got clearanced out. Probably because all the schools immediately banned them. Wow, I had an absolute armful of silly bands. My school didn't ban them. Why did some schools ban them? My school banned anything that had a trading economy, silly bands, trading cards, etc. I assume because some kids realized they made a poor trade later and the school didn't want to regulate it. Our school simply let us trade and be disappointed, as it is a part of life and not everything has to be regulated. If anyone fought about a toy, they would simply confiscate the toy and write a note to the parent letting them know about the bad behavior, letting the parent decide how and if to punish their child. The summer of Pokemon Go was awesome. People were up and outside walking around and getting exercise. Strangers met and talked, and for a brief moment it was cool to be social. Then, if I remember right, an app update broke the game, and it fell off wildly in popularity. Ironically, 4-ish years later we had COVID, social distancing, and spent all our time indoors, a complete polar opposite from that one wonderful summer of Pokemon Go. My son, now 22, and his girlfriend still play. They actually use the game as an excuse to road trip to different places. They even went to a big meetup in New York City. I love that they are still involved, and it gives them a reason to get out of the house and explore. That game came out during the peak of my depression, and most days it was the only thing that could get me to leave the house. As a bulky big guy, it was 10 p.m. in a park that was, for context, more than screaming distance, away from anyone else, and a 17-year-old who apparently just got her license pulled up at the Pokestop and grabbed the same Pikachu as me, and I told her there was a Dragonite just up the other end off the park. In no other time in reality would that seem like a safe thing for her to do. I only thought about it afterwards that we were just two big kids playing a game, and the evils of the world didn't exist. I was waitressing at the time, and this other girl there was just as obsessed as I was. We'd be bartending and just have it out by the register. One night I saw a Dragonite around the corner, and I told her to watch the bar and give me her phone. I saw a little boy chasing it, and we found it together. I caught one for both of us, but was sad because hers was at a way higher level. Those were good times. One time I pulled into a parking lot because there was a Dragonair. The parking lot was mostly empty, and I was at the back of it, so I didn't bother parking properly. After I caught it, I looked up and saw a security guard walking toward me and thought, shit, I'm about to get in trouble. I rolled down my window and the guy went, "Did you catch it?" The whole 3D craze back in like 2010. Everybody thought it was the future after Avatar came out in theaters. Every movie tried to be 3D after that. There were 3D TVs, 3D phones, the Nintendo 3DS. And I think the craze disappeared in like a year because it gave people headaches. I don't think headaches were the reason. Most of it was that it made movies look like shit, too dark, and everything looked like a toy. Those heat-sensitive color changing to shirts that made it extra obvious when someone was a sweaty mess. Hypercolor, I think. This was a wild month. The first 2 weeks, everybody at school had these awesome color-changing shirts that you could put handprints on and stuff. The last 2 weeks, everybody had these weird, bright orangish pink shirts that didn't do shit because all our moms put them in the dryer. Remember that month or so in the 90s when we were all listening to Gregorian chants? One of the best things about the 90s post-grunge it was kind of the Wild West. You could have the most random niche shit blow up and become a mainstream hit. Not all of it was good or stood the test of time, but I wish the music industry was still willing to take risks. Does the existence of the Segway count as a trend? My roommate in college had one in our third-floor walk-up. He claimed the stair assist feature it had was convenient. It did not look convenient. There was a trend when I was in middle school. Or high school that came and went so fast I have to convince myself it's not a fever dream. Kids were walking around with pacifiers in their mouth and hanging around their necks. Someone please verify this actually happened to them as well. It was a raver thing that got mainstreamed at one point in the 90s. When Eminem came out, there was a brief moment when everyone had blonde Caesar haircuts, white t-shirts, and jeans. He had to make a song telling everyone to knock that shit off. He made multiple songs. You know what's funny, though? Didn't stop shit. There were 100% people who consistently dyed their hair, buzzed it, and kept it short, and adopted a fuck you attitude even after Eminem wrote about how he didn't want that to happen. Flappy Bird game. Didn't the creator of the game pull it from the store because he didn't want to make a popular game or something? It was the Heat. Dong Nguyen was making $50,000 a day and was one of the most recognizable faces in Vietnam. He knew of far too many cases like his where someone would be known for a bag and get themselves or their family kidnapped. After it all calmed down a bit, he stepped into a more subdued role doing game dev in Hanoi. Everyone claiming they were moving to Threads. I tried out Threads when it first launched. I hated that I couldn't have a feed of posts from accounts I actually follow. It was just random garbage from random accounts. I dropped it right after that. I want to be able to curate my own feed, not have it shovel-fed to me in its entirety by some shitty algorithm. Whatever that very mindful, very demure shit was a couple of weeks ago. I still don't understand what that one was. It ended before you even knew what it was actually about. Hoverboards. I remember seeing some guy downtown riding one when they first came out, and he had his arms crossed with this insufferably smug expression on his face, as if to say, "Look at me and how cool I am." So I intentionally looked the other way. I'm pretty sure the ones that didn't catch fire stopped working after a few weeks. I see these all the time still. Def didn't die in Twin Cities. Oh boy, I worked at a Spencer's Gifts, so let me tell you. Selfie sticks, fidget spinners, salt lamps, etc., etc. We had so many of these things long after the fad died, and we were always getting yelled at, incentivized by corporate to sell the immense stock. I worked at Spencer's too when fidget spinners were a trend. We didn't get them until the fad was dead. Our district manager even said the purchasing person who was in charge should have been fired for not getting them in stores in time. So, what lessons can we learn from these fleeting trends? They remind us that the world changes faster than we can keep up with. Some things flare up and fade away before we even realize they happened, while others leave behind good memories, or a bit of embarrassment over past obsessions. What trends do you look back on with a smile or confusion? Share them in the comments, and let's reminisce together. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss our upcoming videos. See you in the next one.